In this tutorial, we'll learn how to create a new file in Krita. This tutorial is intended for beginners, covering some basic concepts about digital images and common beginner mistakes. When you open Krita for the first time, you should see a window like this. To create a new file, you can click on the File menu and click on New, like you would with any other application with a menu bar, or you can click on this New File button at the left. Clicking on this button will display the Create New Document dialog with various settings that you can configure. For now, let's create a document with the default size by clicking on the Create button. You can see here that Krita has created a new document with a white background. This white background is a paint layer by default. If we go here in the Layers docker, we can click on this eye icon next to the background to hide and display it. A common beginner mistake is to paint directly on this default background layer. Instead, you may want to create a new paint layer on top of it by clicking on this plus button and paint on the separate layer instead. You can only draw on one layer at a time, which is the selected layer, and you can switch which layer is selected by clicking on it. Let's keep the new paint layer selected. In Krita, there are different ways to interact with the canvas that are represented as tools in this toolbox on the left. Only one tool can be selected at a time, which means that only one mode of operation is active at a time. Make sure that the freehand brush tool is selected so that we can draw on the canvas by clicking with the mouse. Similarly, there are various settings you can customize on the brush tool that are stored as brush presets. You can browse these presets in the Brush Presets docker, and only one preset can be selected at a time. After you have selected the layer, the tool, and the brush preset, you can click on the canvas to start drawing with the currently selected color. We've drawn something on a separate layer, which means that we can click on the eye icon to display and hide it. If we had drawn on the white background layer instead, the color would have been stored together with the opaque background. One last important tip to get started using Krita is that Krita has a brush stabilizer setting, but it's hidden in this tool Options docker and only appears when the freehand brush tool is selected. If you have used stabilizers in other Illustrator software, you may be aware of how this works. It smooths brush strokes by sampling multiple positions of the mouse cursor before drawing on the canvas. It's worth noting that every software uses a different algorithm to implement this functionality. So the way the stabilizer works in Krita isn't exactly the same way it works in Fire Alpaca, Photoshop, Clip Studio Paint, or Paint Tool SAI. Next, we're going to learn how to set the width and height of a new document. Let's open the New File dialog again. You can see here that we have an image size section with various settings. The first settings that we have is labeled Predefined, and it lets us pick some predefined settings for our new document. For example, if we click on this A3 with 600 pixels per inch, it's going to change the width, height, and resolution of the new document. These buttons at the top right corner let you quickly switch between landscape and portrait orientations. These terms simply refer to which side is longer. In landscape, the width is greater than the height, while in portrait, the height is greater than the width. Let's understand how image size works. In a raster digital image, all image data is stored as a countable number of pixels. This may be a bit confusing at first, since the dialog lets you choose other units of measurement for the width and height. For example, we can specify the image size in centimeters or in inches. This only exists to help you convert from a physical unit to a number of pixels. For example, let's set the width of the canvas to 100 pixels, the height to 200 pixels, and the resolution to 100 pixels per inch. If we do this, when we change the unit of measurement of the width from pixels to inches, it's going to divide 100 pixels by 100 pixels per inch to tell us how many inches of width the image is supposed to have, which is going to be a single inch. For the height, the math will result in 2 inches. Now that the size is in inches, let's try doubling the resolution to 200 pixels per inch. If we do this, when we change the unit of measurement back to pixels, the number of pixels will have doubled. In other words, this resolution setting tells us how many pixels in the digital image should be displayed in a single inch of physical area. This is also called pixel density. This setting is only useful if you intend to print the image later. If you only intend to post the image on the internet, it doesn't really do anything, although some software like Inkscape may use this setting to automatically scale the image when you try to insert it in a document that has a different resolution. You can also change this setting later without changing the image at all, since the only thing it does is tell printers the intended ratio of pixels to physical units. If you do intend to print the image, According to Krita's online documentation, the minimum resolution you should use for quality print is 300 pixels per inch, while 600 pixels per inch is used for comics. If you find yourself using the same image size frequently, there is a way to save it as a custom predefined image size. To do this, use this box to give it a name and then click on this button to save it. Then it will appear on the list of predefined image sizes. If you use Linux, I recommend adding a custom template to your file manager's new file context menu as well. Now that we understand the relationship between pixels, resolution, and physical units, let's understand what are these pixels in the first place. To do this, let's set the width and height to a small number of pixels, such as 5 by 50, and then create a new document. Now let's draw on the canvas with the brush tool. You can see here that the brush stroke looks really pixelated. That's because these are the pixels. The image is composed of small colored squares called pixels. Each pixel may only have a single color. Another way to think of it is that the image is composed of a grid of colors, and we use the term pixel to refer to a given position of this grid. Let's create a new file again. This time we'll use the A3 size with 600 pixels per inch. I'll draw something on the canvas with the same brush I had used before. Observe that the painted area is very small. Even though the brush size is set to 40 pixels, the same size as before, it appears very small on the screen because the image is so large that to fit it in the monitor it had to be zoomed out. On the bottom right corner in Krita you can find a slider that you can use to change the zoom of the image. You can use the scroll wheel of the mouse to change the zoom, and you can pan on the canvas by pressing and holding the middle mouse button. If we zoom in enough, we will be able to see the pixels of the brush stroke, just like we had seen before when we made a tiny image. That's because this image is also made out of pixels. It's just a lot more pixels than the other. The next settings that we would learn about are the color model, color depth, and color profile. However, these are a bit more technical and complicated to explain, and they should work properly in their default settings, so while I might make a video about them later, I don't think they need to be explained in this video. There is only one thing that I believe you must be warned about. Do not change the color model to CMYK. You may have heard that printers have something to do with CMYK, and if you click on this button, you'll see something called CMYK here, so you might think that you need this to be CMYK in order to print it later. That isn't true. You can just work in RGB model normally, then you give an RGB image to the printing house, and then the printing house will convert it to CMYK before printing. You don't need to work in CMYK mode at all. Next, we'll take a look at this Content tab. The name and the description are metadata that are saved to the document. I will set this to my image and the description to cool image. Then after the document is created, I can edit this metadata in File, Document Information. This is only useful if you plan to embed the metadata inside the exported file after you export it. Most social media will actually remove the metadata from images that you upload, so it's only useful if you are uploading to a website that doesn't remove the metadata. Another option that we have is setting how many layers are created by default. I don't know why this is an option, to be honest. It's probably easier to just click on the button to add a new layer than type the number on this box. The last interesting option is setting the color of the background as the canvas color instead of as a layer. If you do this, then you will get a background layer that is completely transparent, and even after you hide the background layer, you will still see a white background. To change this background color, go to the menu bar and click on Image, Properties. This opens a dialog where you can change the opacity of the background color of the canvas and change the color of the background color as well. One advantage of this method is that the color is stored in the Krita file as a single color instead of as an entire background layer, which makes the file size a bit smaller. Next, we're going to learn how to create a new document from the clipboard in Krita. To do this, first let's find a cool image on the internet that we want to copy. Then we right-click on it and click on Copy Image in the web browser's context menu. Next, we're going to go on Krita and open the New File dialog. Instead of creating a file normally, we're going to click here on Create from Clipboard. You should see the copied image appear on this area on the right. Observe that the width and height are automatically set to the size of the image on the clipboard. We click on Create, and a dialog box may appear saying that a color profile is missing. We choose as web because it's the profile the web browser is probably using. And when we click OK, Krita will create a new document with the copied image already pasted in the background. This can be very convenient, especially in cases when you want to copy the current canvas to a new document. Simply use Select All to select the whole canvas, then Edit, Copy Merge to copy the combined visible image, and create a new document from what has been copied. If you want to create a new document by copying all layers instead, click on File, Create Copy from Current Image. This will create a new document with the same layers as the document you had opened. The last functionality that the new file dialog has are the templates. Let's select a template to see how they work. You can see that there are no settings to configure. All you can do after selecting a template is click on the Use this template button. A new document will be created from the template with a predefined size and layer structure. In other words, it's just creating a copy of a template file that was saved earlier. To save your own custom template, first create the document that you want to use as a template, and then click on File, Create Template from Image. Finally, it's worth noting that if all you want to do is just edit an image in Krita that you have as a file, you can just drag and drop it in Krita. You don't even need to open the file dialog. This is how you create a new file in Krita. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.